Yes.
Do you believe that someday your education will be the key to your life?
Yes.
Tell me what you want to be.
A doctor.
What else you bet you can
A star.
be? Really?
Yes.
Do you know if you stay in school, I believe you can do those things too. Do you?
Yes.
All righty then. I had to play that intro and get y'all head back in the game, man. It's all about education. A lot of you guys that stand on the Israelite side and stand opposing the are diametrically opposed to the Israelite side. A lot of y'all guys do not believe in education. A lot of you guys do not believe in forward thinking. You don't believe in critical thinking. You don't believe in actually constructing arguments. A lot has happened in the past month or so. I've been busy doing other things. There's something called life. So I don't hone in and focus in on a lot of the white noise, if you will. It's been a lot of white noise going on. Garfield and heard Ngozi them. They made a little video, whatnot. I don't hone in on stuff like that because here's the thing. And Fortune, I think his name is Fortune 99, whatever the hell his name is. He said my name a couple times, did videos about me a couple times, and I've gave the invitation to Ngozi. I told him, hey, he can come on my channel. We can debate on my channel. Those guys do not want to have a discussion, let alone debate. So what's the point? Unless you're both your hands tied behind your back and you're blindfolded, and then you do it on their terms. I've already done that. I debated Garfield on his channel. Those guys are gonna have to debate over here, grow some fucking balls. If not, I just continue to do what I'm doing here, and that's providing educational information, source material. You guys can all pick up on your own time and actually read and understand it. Um, I'm not going to make a video saying, "Oh, this is destroyed." These brothers made a video claiming that all their DNA claims are destroyed. Well, just because proclamation is not affirmation, and I've said that plenty of times, and it's so cute what these people do. But what we continue to here to do on Genesis 49 is to provide information, and that's what I will do today. I'm going to reiterating a presentation I've already done because people, like I've said in prior episodes, prior videos, will try to stick you with haplogroup ages and estimates. And we're going to bring out some of that information. And how I'm going to do it today is starting out with defining what a theory is and defining what scientism is. Scientism is when you use science as a religion. And people don't understand it because they think the word religion is locked into me. I believe in a God and I worship a God. No, it's not. If I say that my sister religiously studies math, I'm not implying that she's sacrificing to a math god. It's a characteristic, it's a behavior behind what she's doing. You understand? Um, that's what I'm characterizing. That's what I'm defining when I say she's religious behind her math. If I say you're religious behind science, I'm implying that you're acting as if scientists are the priesthood and everything they say is definitive, as if it came from a god. A lot of people don't understand that, and they refuse to comprehend it because it breaks their argument. I don't have a 100% definitive argument. My argument is done in the proper way as a theory with the basis that there are biblical tales that reflect reality. And if we're going to say they reflect reality, start with those bases, something as simple as haplogroups, then we will have to say all living extant humans or hominids will have to come from three sons being Noah if we're following the narrative. If not, you're on the wrong channel because that's what my theory is based on. See, you people get upset because we have a theory and we're building on it and we're building an argument. You're upset behind that. You don't have to listen to it. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to do that at all. There are plenty of channels that you go watch. You want to go learn about being a monkey? Go watch a channel about being a monkey, evolving from monkeys. You understand? You want to follow Darwinism? There's channels that support that. But something is wrong with the Black American community, I'm going to point them out first. We have this issue, and I get on Israelites all the time. Why do you spend majority of your time bickering and arguing with people that don't agree with you? And it's like, to no end, you continue to argue and lock yourself into arguments, lifelong arguments, year in, year out arguments with people that care less. Black people have that bad. Oh, I'm not going to build with the people that have some commonality with me, which is common sense. I'm going to build with people that I have a commonality with, a common basis with, that we can get on one accord and we can establish something. I'm not going to spend 100 fucking years going to Garfield's channel and presenting anything. There's no fucking point. It's a shit show. And excuse my language, but y'all know how I get down. I got to keep it real with y'all. I got to keep it 100 with y'all. But we have done so much work in the last year, giving you guys evidence-based arguments, because a theory itself is not fact, but it contains facts, and we draw upon those facts and we give emphasis on those facts. And that's why I want to open up with today's show and explaining what a scientific theory is. Now, someone else will present a theory and be like, oh, well, here's the theory here. This is what the scientists say. That means they're automatically right. No, it does not. No theory is automatically right. It's an inference. That's all it is. Appreciate that, Elkine. It's an inference. We're trying to give an inference because we don't have, this is not Back to the Future. Okay, we don't have the DeLorean. We can't get into that machine and then zap back into any time epoch and see what exactly occurred. So what do the professionals do? What do the archaeologists do? What do these people do? They look at the information available and then they make their inference upon the data. And that's what we did with our model. We're making inferences. Okay. And we're just examining the information. So I feel the need to reiterate this again. I've already done this before. I made videos like this before, explaining scientific theory, what scientism is and what it entails. I've already done this, but I have to keep bringing out the same information because we have the same idiotic arguments being spelled. And it's like, if you have a problem with it, do what a man will do and take the confrontation. Come over here and debate me. I will debate you here. I've already debated you guys on your channels. We went to Berean's channel and watched two guys easily because they do not read the information. They do not sit down, buy the books, spend 10 racks on information and focus and hone in on the information side. You just get on a fucking show and open your mouth and make claims. Affirmation is not confirmation. All right, guys, let's get into this first argument. Excuse me, I'm reading this brother's post at the same time. Let's get into the first article. And I won't be long today. I got a lot of shit to get done. I'm really handling some business right now. But I felt the need to do this, so I wanted to bring this out. A New Whole Family Investment says people argue like that because they need the validation, which is the problem. I guess that's what you're about to say, which is the problem. Yes. This is an issue with Israelites. You want to be validated by those that hate you. Why do you want to be validated? These people hate you. Their whole purpose of being on YouTube is to tear you down, to show you that show people that you are not to be trusted, to drag your name in the mud. You understand? To discredit you. When they offer you to come on a channel, it's not because, oh, we're black and you're, no, they don't give a damn about your skin color. They care that you're propagating a message that they think is demonic. And this is why it becomes religious. You understand? What you're doing, they think you're an apostate. Oh, well, I don't believe in God. I don't believe in none of that. So how do you carry yourself like a Catholic? A lot of these guys that's on Dagger, Small, Sonnet, you guys carry yourself like Catholics, where anything outside of what you believe in, Afrocentrism or whatever the case may be, anyone speaks against that, then they're heretics. And and it's your job to, find them and flog them and expel them and put them to a pogrom like the Jews went through in medieval Europe. You guys are religious, and I keep telling you, you guys are doctrinaires. You guys make claims and act as if it's facts, as if it's definitive. But we're gonna break it down. Thank you, Ruth Smith. They are lazy researchers. Exactly. These guys do not even read the information or nothing. These guys caught themselves exposing me and doing a video, and it took 5 seconds to rebuttal. I went I went to page one of the book, and I said I can tell you didn't even read the book because you didn't even get to page one, because page one refutes everything you just said in 10 minutes. Lazy. Y'all don't put in the time, y'all don't put in the work. Anybody that knows me knows that I sit down and I read. I will read and read and read and read and try to glean and gain the understanding that way. I don't sit here and watch tons and tons of YouTube videos to understand something. I go by the source material and I read it, and I glean the information that way. You guys don't do that. They lazy as hell. Pro skimmers, man. That's all y'all are. Pro skimmers. And y'all against education. I make my videos about black Americans should take education seriously. And you guys take it as a joke because a lot of you guys want to be couch potatoes and don't want to achieve anything in life. So guess what? We're going to treat you like the plague. We can't touch you. We don't need to be around you. We're going to go about our business and let you rot in your filth. That's just how it's going to be. We're not going to focus and do 10-hour lives on y'all. We're not going to focus and do, 100-part segments on you guys. We could keep it moving, keep building our arguments, keep building our theses, and adding to that. But anyway, with no further ado, enough of the lazy researchers, the skimmers, the people that don't fucking read, that just put stuff together and don't really understand what the hell they're looking at. And then when we come and bust their heads, and that's our approach is the best approach. Don't even interact with them. Think about it. And then I promise I'm gonna get into this information. Yap all day. Yap all day. Yeah, we yapping today. We some yappers. We yapping today. You know what I'm saying? If it wasn't for Israelites trying to seek validation from Sonetta and these other weird Afrocentric groups that have their own little Afrocentric cults and pedophilia that's tied to them and all this other weird stuff. They want to talk about Israelites, but anyway, all this weird stuff going on. If we didn't have ISUPK and the other brothers that were amongst that, I can't think of any names right now, chasing them and trying to get on their platforms and trying to be seen, they would not be as significant as they are today. But every day you got to bring your ass on their channel. Every day you got to go over there. So guess what? Don't cry and complain about these niggas. You built them. You created them. You gave them the spotlight that they have today because you kept wasping your ass over there because you want to be seen. This ain't about being seen. This is about trying to build a strong argument and a foundation. And you can't do it with some illiterate niggas. It's just not going to work. It's not. New Hope Family Investment says truth is not the most important thing to them. Truth is not the most important thing to them. It's getting others to believe them. That's why they don't care once you correct. Exactly. And that's a religious mind state. That's a religious mind state because it don't matter what's true or not. It's just about how many followers you can garner, how many people that you can get on your side. It's politics. That's all it is. It's just politics. And that's why I advise all my guys, anybody, that's in my circle, hey, don't waste your time with these dilettantes. If you're going to get on the internet and do anything live, any internet show, anything like that, it needs to be focused on your work and not goofballs that could care less. But you have hundreds and hundreds of Israelites clamoring to be seen on Sonetta TV, to be seen on Garfield, to be seen on all of these channels that were created and made to embarrass you and make you look like fools. Week in, week out, day in, day out, live after live. Where do you find your ass at? Over there. And you're not being constructive. If anything, you're being destructive. You understand? You're pretty much promoting your own demise every time you go over there. You built these guys. You watch their channel. You give them viewership. Y'all backwards. Y'all gotta check y'all retrograde. Y'all spinning in the wrong direction. Instead of focusing on building a foundation for your own ideology, you too busy over there fighting with numbskulls they've been being battled against since the early 2010s. We're talking about the internet era. There's nothing you can say to them that's gonna change their goddamn mind. You understand? So, New Hope Family Investments, you're absolutely correct. These guys have a thing against religion and churches and God and all this other stuff, but they're the same way. I remember my brother used to watch. I blocked him from my channel because I don't entertain. He used to come over here just to defend Garfield, and I said, "Bruh, you got a problem with me talking about Garfield like he's your goddamn pastor, man? Don't say nothing about my pastor. You over here talking about my pastor every episode. If I said anything negative criticizing this dude, which it was warranted, this guy would say something completely off and he would have the information on the screen. And if he would have took 10 seconds to read the paragraph on the screen, he would not have made that error. And if you guys have been following, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I ain't got to go into the details. He basically said a haplogroup was non-existent today, but the information he had on his screen pretty much deconfirmed that and debunked what he was saying. And it was hilarious. And I brought it out. And he had one of his fans over here on my page that was going to bat for him. And I'm like, bruh, sit down. This is not your channel. Go to his channel and parade for him and wear your pom-poms. Oh, you can suck a D. Okay, I can suck a D. You out the channel. You cannot comment on my channel no more. I don't care about views. You understand? Higher Be Praised said, it's an atheist cult and Garfield is the cult leader. Yeah, I mean, they can do whatever they please. You know what I'm saying? My advice to Israelites or brothers that claim the ideology or any ideology, stop messing and fraternizing with the enemy. You seeking validation from the enemy. Who does that? You niggas is weird. You niggas is weird. Especially when you got brothers and sisters that love you and want to hear more from you. You should be focusing on them. You wake up in the morning wanting to talk to these weird niggas. Want to entertain them. Because a lot of y'all want clout. That's all it is. All right, we got my sister Shari in the building. What's going on?
Shalom, shalom, family.
Shalom, shalom. And we got my brother Sean in the building. What's happening, Sean?
Shalom, shalom, fam. At work, but I'm here.
Yeah, I figured. All right. Yeah, man. I ain't gonna hold them up, man. I went on my little rant section for about 20 minutes, man. I'm gonna get into the information. I want to deal with what a scientific theory is. Some of y'all in the chat going wild. Ezekiel Ben Yisrael said Garfield's whole career in the black community is based on us. If there was no Israelites, there is no Garfield. That's our fault. That's our fault. You understand? You can't blame nobody but us. Because if a dog can holler all goddamn night, you ain't got to go out there and see him. You understand? It's like the stray cat that come to your house. As soon as you lay that damn food out there and give them straps, what's going to happen the next day? The cat going to come right back. And that's what Garfield is. Y'all kept feeding the wild-ass cat. Y'all built the character.
That's for all the channels, though. Once they put Israel in their title, the views go up.
Exactly.
So, we run over there, too. So
Everybody run over. All of Israel run over there because they want to hear the drama and the fighting and oh no, that nigga wrong. You know what I'm saying? And these niggas don't like y'all at all. Make fun of you, embarrass you, put 8 niggas on the panel and just be one of you. They all overtalk you, red herring you to death, and you take your silly ass right back over there the next day. So who's to blame? It's your ass. And ain't them. I'm not even looking at them. They doing their job. You understand? It's like the man that was trying to tame crocodiles, and the crocodile opened his mouth. Y'all probably seen this on the internet. The crocodile opened his mouth, and this dude would stick his hand in his mouth and tap his tongue, and the crocodile mouth would close, and he get his hand out before he gets bit. But one day he does it, and he's not as lucky, and the crocodile bite his arm, and he begins to do the crocodile death roll.
I see that. He stuck his hand in the gator's mouth, and a drop of sweat fell from his face onto the gator's tongue, and it triggered it. Pop! And he slammed his hand.
Have y'all seen? I know y'all. I'm not the only one seen that clip, man. You know what I'm saying? That's Israel, bro. You want to go over there and entertain your enemies. You putting your mouth in the hand of the fucking crocodile. And the crocodile, I can't get mad at the crocodile. It's a damn crocodile. That's what it's supposed to do. Bite your ass. How am I gonna get upset at that?
Because you're expecting something different. That's for people that's expecting something different. If you know they're not going to change the position and you steady trying to convince them, then that's a waste of time. I definitely agree. Like I said in the chat, I'm here for all the smoke. I want the kind of arguments so I can just do what I do on my channel.
There you go. There you go. And that's the exact approach. You don't like what they say, the information they bring up, you just bring up the counter arguments and counter claims, and that's it. Yeah, you see what we did. Me, Avery, we went over there and we stomped them because why? While they spent a year on the internet chasing Israelites and arguing and making these claims against Israelites, we took a year studying and building our model. It's a big difference. That's why we're able to mop them. Because what we do with our time and what they do with their time, I don't do 8-hour lives like Garfield, sitting up there talking shit all day. I don't do that. I'd rather purchase a book or a source of information and dive into it and see what I can get from it. That's what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Elcon says
you have a day job.
Exactly. That's another thing too. A lot of these niggas. That's another topic. But Elcon says, but to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result is never mind.
Go on, say it. It's insanity. You insane.
It is. Shout out to Avery. Join the stream if you can, brother. I know you got the link. I think you got the link. Hold on. Let me make sure this brother got the link real quick. I promise y'all I'm gonna get to these articles, man. I just, the scriptures say it's like the word was like a fire in my bones.
Yeah, it had to be said. This is all that had to be said. But hold it back for a minute.
Yeah, man.
It's crazy too, because you see how Dante do. Dante don't even, he just do like you said. He just put information out. They say this, they say that about him. He go on this channel and he rebutted them.
Right. And then y'all be getting tricked because they said we're brothers and no matter what we believe, they don't listen. They have a vendetta against you, man. Their whole mission is to wipe you out, man. I don't know what you guys are smoking or what is wrong with y'all, man? Y'all can't see that these guys, since they've been on their inception on the internet, had their whole mission and goal was to eradicate Israelites. They want us to delete our channels. I've showed it to you, Sean. You seen that little back chat conversation. They want us to delete our channel. That's
crazy. When I see that, when you told me about it, I was like, how'd you get, when you sent me the little chat, and I was like, oh, this shit is real. They serious.
Right. They're like, man, them guys need to, they teaching our people this shit. They need to be off of YouTube. They need their channel deleted. I'm like, they mentioned Divine Prospect. They really hate him. It's like, they really hate the intellectuals. the ones that actually have actual arguments. They hate them, you know?
The one that actually complete books, read and complete books.
Right. They can't stand them. All right, so let me get to this
Did
first.
you put? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. I know you want to get to it. Did you put it in the Yap Gang chat?
Yeah,
I
I
think you
did.
should. Okay, cool.
I
All right.
did. I got it. I just sent it to him. So everybody should have a messenger, man. And while I'm reading, y'all want to chime in and bring any information out, please do. The first article I'm going to bring up is what is a scientific theory, because a lot of people are confused on this topic. They think a scientific theory is facts, like it's 100%, it's definitive. If someone makes a theory about something, then it is true, regardless of what you say, and it's irrefutable. No, that's not what a theory is. So today we're going to cover that. And the reason why we're covering in this, which I've covered before, is because people think, oh, uh, there's a theory that says everybody came from haplogroup A, and that means we all descend from the Khoisan. And before that, we came from apes, and before the apes, we came from old world monkeys, and before the old world monkeys, all mammalians came from rodents. Yes, that's written in a theory. Does not mean it's definitive and it's absolute and it's true. So that's why I want to cover that. All right. And like I said, you guys are free to chime in anytime, jump in. Uh, Whatever's on your spirit, just let it go. And am I on Chrome? Yeah, I am. All right. All right. So the first article is on livescience.com. And the title is What is a Scientific Theory? Make sure y'all can see that. By Alina Bradford, published July 28, 2017. It says the way that scientists use the word theory is a little different than how it is commonly used in the lay public, said Jamie Tanner, a professor of biology at Marlborough College. Most people use the word theory to mean an idea or a hunch that someone has, but in science, the word theory refers to the way that we interpret facts. And I want you guys to understand that before we go even further. I don't even have to read the rest of the article. This is what it is. It's how we interpret facts. For instance, the Darwinian theory, they interpret the fossil record to mean that everything has a natural gradual progression from earlier life forms. That's what the theory states. But that's not evidence. That's just the inference they put on the facts. What are the facts? That we find a bunch of dead things in the ground. We find apes, hominins, so on and so forth in the ground, and they infer from the fossil record that in the past we had a gradual evolution. The fact is, we do find skeletons in the ground. We do find skeletal remains. The inference is that we evolved from those skeletal remains. Y'all follow me? That's an inference. That's what a theory is. But you got all these people, like Uncle on YouTube, with a claim to be a science guy. He don't even understand this. I've had private conversations. We tried to debate try to get him over here to debate, and he wouldn't debate because in the conversation I showed that my terminal knowledge was more than his. Because this guy does not even read. I ain't gonna do that. I ain't gonna do him like that. But the guy does not have a scientific understanding to even know this simple fact. What a theory does, it refers to the way that we interpret facts. It's an interpretation. Facts are involved. It's the things we observe, but it's an interpretation. We all have DNA. We interpret that, or some scientists interpret that we all have a common ancestor known as Y chromosome atom. That's the interpretation. All right. But the fact is, we all have DNA. So I want you guys to follow that. It says the process of becoming a scientific theory. Every scientific theory starts as a hypothesis. A scientific hypothesis is a suggested solution for an unexplained occurrence that doesn't fit into a currently accepted scientific theory. In other words, according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, a hypothesis is an idea that hasn't been proven yet. Y'all understand that? What a hypothesis is. We got to break this stuff down. A hypothesis is an idea that hasn't been proven yet. And a theory starts as a hypothesis.
Also, your hypothesis is stated as a question.
Right. It's never affirmative. It's never declarative, as if you know already. Then it wouldn't be a hypothesis. It says if enough evidence accumulates to support a hypothesis, it moves to the next step known as a theory. In the scientific method, it becomes accepted as a valid explanation of a phenomenon. So what are you forming with a theory? An explanation. And that's what we did with our YAP argument, the Shem argument, CF being Japhet, DE being Shem, and AB. That's our explanation. We built our theory. We had our hypothesis, and we showed our facts. What were our facts? The fact that we found DNA and skeletal remains in times past in certain localities that are associated with Shem and certain localities that are associated with Japhet. Okay? That's explanation. All right? So this is how you utilize a theory, and this is what a theory is. This is what a hypothesis is, okay? It says, Tanner further explained that a scientific theory is the framework for observations in facts. Theories may change, or the way that they are interpreted may change. You see that? Theories may change. That means theories are plastic. They're fluid. They're not concrete. If it can change, if it can morph, it's not concrete. It's not absolute. It's not definitive. That means, oh, wait, we were wrong about this. Our interpretation changed. I'm going to give you a great example of that. The scientific community in times past believed that we lived, what's the word I'm looking for? They believed that the universe was geocentric, and then Copernicus came around and got clowned, and then the scientific hypothesis and theory changed to being a heliocentric universe or solar system. Excuse me. Another example of that, people used to think that of spontaneous inception, like flies. They would think flies had a spontaneous inception because no one ever seen the babies sprout like you see coming out of a woman. They didn't understand that they laid their eggs in food, and over time, those food that they would live and latch off of that food and then hatch eggs. You understand? It sounds silly to us today because it's common knowledge to us today that flies lay their eggs in food, and then over time, their eggs grow and then sprout from that food. But back then, they thought that that's spontaneous creation. They thought that flies just sprouted out of nowhere. So the theory had changed. So anyway, theories may change. If the theory can change, it lets you know that's not absolute, now does it? This is all the way that they are interpreted may change, but the facts themselves don't change. Like I brought up earlier, the fact is we do find skeletal remains underneath the earth. That hasn't changed. We do have DNA. That hasn't changed. Right? That won't change. Those are observable empirical facts. Right? Just like the air we breathe, that's observable and empirical. The water we drink, so on and so forth. Tanner likens theories to a basket in which scientists keep facts and observations that they find. The shape of the basket may change as the scientists learn more and include more facts. I'm going to give you another theory, the Outer Africa theory, which is a very popular theory. Right now, that is being challenged by a lot of scientists. They say, wait a minute. The way your interpretation of the data is off. This is how we interpret it. We interpreted that there were multiple origin spots, or we interpreted that there was a bi-directional corridor and we came from another direction. We didn't come out of Africa. These are the arguments that are going on right now because theories, like I said, are plastic. They change, just like we just read. But Negroes on the internet want to spout theories as if it's absolute 100% concrete facts. And it's not. All right, as we're reading on the article.
So what you're saying is theories can be reduced, reused, and recycled.
Yes. And altered and changed completely. It says, for example, we have ample evidence of traits in populations become more or less common over time. Evolution. So evolution is a fact, but the overarching theories about evolution, the way we think all of the facts go together, might change as new observations of evolution are made. So evolution, change over time pretty much. That's a fact. Things do change over time. But the overarching theories, I'm going to give you an overarching theory. We all come from single cell organisms. That's just what someone thinks. That's how they interpret the fact. That is not the fact itself. The fact is we do change over time and people want to call it evolution. Okay, fine. We do observe that. But that does not prove or emphatically prove that we all come from monkeys, which came from rodent-like creatures, which came from an early mammalian ancestor, and so on and so forth, farm fish, amphibian, reptile, mammalians. You know how it goes. It does not prove that. That doesn't make that a fact. That's just how they interpret the fact. That's the interpretation. That's their inference. It says, so evolution is a fact, but the overarching theories about evolution, the way we think all of the facts go together, might change as new observations of evolution are made. Tanner told Live Science. Theory basics. It says the University of California, Berkeley defines a theory as a broad natural explanation for a wide range of phenomena. Theories are concise, coherent, systematic, predictive, and broadly applicable, often integrating and generalizing many hypotheses. Now, remember what a hypothesis is, because this is going to let you know what a theory consists of. Let's go back to what a hypothesis is. I don't want this to go over nobody's head here. Where's the definition? Right here. A hypothesis is an idea that hasn't been proven yet. And what did we just learn about theory basics? Right here. Theories are concise, coherent, systematic, predictive, and broadly applicable, often integrating and generalizing many hypotheses. These are all ideas that are turning into theories, and these theories are interpretations of facts. That's it. Keyword, interpretation. Since any scientific theory must be based on a careful and rational examination of the facts. Facts and theories are two different things. Because some people will say a theory is a fact. Some people will sit up and tell you that a theory is a fact. Oh, well, they say that, 200,000 years ago, that's when modern man sprung and, Homo sapiens sapien. That is a theory. But you're speaking as if it's fact, as if it's emphatic, definitive, and concrete. When you hear people talk like that, you know damn well they haven't read a book on the topic. Or they're surface dwellers. They don't dive deep enough to gain understanding. Facts and theories are two different things. In the scientific method, there is a clear distinction between facts, which can be observed and are measured, and theories, which are scientists' explanations and interpretations of the facts. So after you watch this, if you don't leave with nothing, leave with this. A theory and a fact are not the same. I don't care how many times they try to claim it is, it's not. It's an interpretation. That's what it is. Explanation and interpretation of the facts. An important part of scientific theory includes statements that have observational consequences. A good theory, like Newton's theory of gravity, has unity, which means it consists of a limited number of problem solving strategies that can be applied to a wide range of scientific circumstances. Another feature of a good theory is that it formed from a number of hypotheses that can be tested independently, which that's also the golden standard of science right there. It's testability. Um, the evolution of a scientific theory. Scientific theory is not the end result of the scientific method. Theories can be proven or rejected, just like hypotheses. Theories can be improved or modified as more information is gathered so that the accuracy of the prediction becomes greater over time. Excuse me, that's the golden standard of science predictions. So theories are foundations for furthering scientific knowledge and for putting the information gathered to practical use. Scientists use theories to develop inventions or find a cure for a disease. Some think that theories become laws, but theories and laws have separate and distinct roles in the scientific method. A law is a description of an observed phenomenon in the natural world that holds true every time it is tested. It doesn't explain why something is true, it just states that it is true. A theory, on the other hand, explains observations that are gathered during the scientific process. So while law and theory are part of the scientific process, they are two very different aspects, according to the National Science Teachers Association. A good example of the difference between a theory and law is the case of Gregor Mendel. In his research, Mendel discovered that two separate genetic traits would appear independently of each other in different offspring. Yet Mendel knew nothing of DNA or chromosomes. It wasn't until a century later that scientists discovered DNA and chromosomes. The biochemical explanation of Mendel's law, said Peter Coppinger, an associate professor of biology and biomedical engineering at the Ross-Holman Institute of Technology. It was only then that scientists such as T.H. Morgan, working with fruit flies, explained the law of independent assortment using the theory of chromosomal inheritance. Still today, this is the universally accepted explanation theory for Mendel's law. All right, so that's the first article. And like I said, the takeaways here so that you can understand what a hypothesis is. Hypothesis is a statement that's not proven. A theory consists of a hypothesis. You build your theory first with a hypothesis, right? A theory is an explanation of the observable facts. It's an interpretation of facts. That's what a theory is. The theory itself is not a fact. If it was, it would not be able to change. All right. So that's how you properly apply what is a scientific theory. I have another article for you guys. I hope y'all strapped in. I came here to educate y'all and really build y'all on this. I want to move on from what what a scientific theory is and the proper usage of it is to this next article dealing with scientism, explaining what scientism is. And we have a lot of this going on with other brothers across the aisle. So I want you guys to be, be diligent on this. There we go. You guys should be able to see it on the screen. Here is the article here. Scientism, when science becomes a religion. It says, last year I was invited to take part in a debate at a popular science festival. My debate was entitled, Is War Inevitable? And was notable for the fact that we all agreed that no, war is not inevitable, since it has not always existed. I love how scientific inquiry uncovers the wonder of the universe, so I enjoyed my time at the festival, listening to the talks and discussion about physics, biology, and cosmology. However, what disappointed me about the festival was there was a sense of dogma pervading the air. Ironically, some of the attendees and participants of the festival reminded me of some religious people in that they saw the world through the prism of a set of beliefs and displayed hostility to any alternative perspectives. Now, who does that sound like? Displaying hostility to any adverse or alternative perspectives. This is what you deal with here on the internet all the time, on Berean's channel, Dagger Sword, Sarnetta's channel. This is what they are. They operate like a religion. They operate like a set of Catholics, right? and when they step into the scientific realm, what they're doing is scientism. Oh, a scientist said it, so it must be true. Even though we provide scientists and we provide their works that contradict other scientists, and then they were like, oh no, that scientist pseudo. I don't like what he say. No, but you gave me the prerequisite. I just need to bring a scientist, right? Because everything scientists say is true automatically because they're scientists. That's bullshit, and they know it. But there's a word for that. That's called scientism. All right. But I just want y'all to see the characteristics fit these guys. It says right here, the prism of a set all through the prism of a set of beliefs and displayed hostility towards any alternative perspectives. So there was a sense that we, the attendees of the festival, were the rational ones who were in possession of the truth, or at least working towards it, in contrast to others who were irrational and deluded. In particular, the speakers were disparaging to religion and New Age spirituality. From time to time, they would mention telepathy, homeopathy, or other types of pseudoscience, or the woo, as the speakers referred to it. The audience would respond by applauding their criticisms or murmuring with hostility. The speakers also seemed to feel that they were engaged in a common enterprise which would lead to a better future for the whole human race, a future in which human beings would be free from the ignorance of superstition and were able to understand the workings of the universe. One speaker, a well-known UK scientist, remarked that there was still some areas that science didn't fully understand, such as consciousness. But he said we're making significant progress, and I have no doubt that we'll get there eventually. See, that's a belief. That's not based off facts. That's his belief. That's his motive. That's his drive. But consciousness is immaterial. You can't observe it. You can't bottle it. There is no physical properties to consciousness. It's like trying to bottle your thought. You cannot bottle a thought. It has no earthly form. There's no physical property to a thought or your
Come on, you shoot. We're made out of light photons. We're light beings from Sirius B.
From Sirius B. Right. It says right here, scientism as a belief system. It may seem strange to talk about science in these terms. Science is supposed to be a neutral and objective and free from beliefs. The role of scientists is to investigate the structure and laws of natural phenomena and to conduct research and advance knowledge. Science is ideally an open-minded and open-ended process where theories are continually tested and updated based on evidence. It's true that there are many scientists who work diligently without pondering over the philosophical implications of their work and without consciously adopting any beliefs. It is also true that some scientists are genuinely open-minded and willing to revise their beliefs when confronted with evidence. But as the Scientist Festival illustrated, for many people, science has become associated with a particular worldview, which is often maintained and defended in a similar way to a religion. Now, this is what we got going on. When we speak against that, we don't come from apes, people get mad. You understand? And they lash out with hostility. No, that's not what the consensus. These scientists say that we come from apes, so it must be true. Yeah, I mean, anybody can say any damn thing. I can say that I can fly. That doesn't make it true. I can get 1,000 people behind me saying, yeah, he can fly. Just because people make statements like that doesn't make it true. If that's the case, everybody that said they astral projected, they actually astral projected because the statement's enough evidence for it, right? So again, what this article is pointing out that a lot of these groups, they have the same mentality as some of these staunch religious zealots, like the Catholic Church and so on and so forth. It says, which is often maintained and defended in a similar way to a religion. Somebody want to argue me down about the word black. Oh, well, we're all black. And I'm like, that doesn't mean we're all biologically the same. What are you talking about? Like, yes, that does not mean that we're not all biologically the same. That is a social construct that we are labeled as. That does not mean we share a common ancestry. A common name, it does not equal or equate to a common ancestry. Just like the term African. But people will defend this the way someone would defend a religious identity, a religious sect, a religious belief. They will defend it. They will defend that we come from apes like someone would defend Allah, Buddha. They will defend it the same way and lash out at you with the same hostility that someone from a religious background would against a heretic. They're no different. It's the same thing. It says science has become associated with a particular worldview. And if you guys don't know the particular worldview is, which I'm going to tell you later, it's materialism, which is often maintained and defended in a similar way to a religion. This is what these guys are, man. You're religious. You're religious nutbags. It says this is the worldview of materialism, which holds that matter is the primary thing in the universe, and anything that appears to be non-physical, such as the mind or thoughts, consciousness, or even life itself, is physical in origin or can be explained in physical terms. Materialism holds that human beings are just biological machines and that the only purpose of our lives is to survive and reproduce. It holds that anomalous phenomena such as spiritual experiences, near-death experiences, or psi phenomena are brain-generated illusions or can be explained in the terms of fraud or coincidence. Materialists are particularly opposed to psi phenomena like telepathy or precognition, which they see as the anathema to science, a throwback to the pre-enlightenment world of magic. All right. Watch this. It says an alternative term for this belief system is scientism, since it is a paradigm that has been derived from some of the findings of modern science. As the psychologist Emmett Baruch has described it, science is an open-ended exploration of reality based on logical thinking about empirical observations. Scientism is the adherence to materialistic version of reality that confines investigations to those sorts of things that are permitted by materialism. So again, when people say, "Oh, that's not science," science is a conceptual tool. Like we use science to build our argument, right? The YAP argument, the DE is shim argument. How do we do that? Just like the quotation you just read, science is an open-ended exploration of reality. Science doesn't care if you have a belief. The science doesn't care. It should not care because it's a tool. A tool doesn't care. My wrench doesn't care if I'm using it for a hex nut. It doesn't care. It's a tool. Tools don't think. Tools don't have presuppositions. You see what I'm saying? This is how you properly use this, right? As a science is open-ended exploration of reality based on logical thinking about empirical observations. Scientism is the adherence to a materialist version of reality that confines investigation to those sorts of things that are permitted by materialism. And this is what our opponents do, the other people on the other side of the aisle, like Garfield and Gozi and others. What they would do is try to narrow your explanation to their materialistic worldview. No. I don't have that materialistic worldview. I don't use that ideological framework, sir. I don't believe in your belief system. I don't believe in your spookisms that everything came from nothing and that we all come from apes. I don't believe in that. It's fine. You can have your belief, but just because you believe that don't mean that all of a sudden I have to narrow down my explanations to fit your belief system. Now you guys are learning the religious side of this, right? It says the case of the Reber and Alcock. One of the characteristics of dogmatic belief systems is that their adherents accept assumptions as proven facts. Maybe this is not blown up. Is this blown up enough? Let me blow this up a little bit more. Because people will say, "Oh, well, everybody came from haplogroup A and, that's just the fact." No, that's an assumption. That's assumed. That's assumed, right? Everybody came from apes or ape-like ancestors. If you get down to the nitty-gritty, they don't even claim that we come from apes. They say that we share a ape-like ancestor with chimpanzees and whatnot. And And they will throw that in your face as if it's proven fact. That's an assumption. That's an interpretation. Remember what a theory is: an interpretation of the facts. One of the characteristics of a dogmatic belief system is that their adherents accept assumptions as proven facts. This is certainly true of scientism. For example, it is a fact that consciousness exists and that it is associated with neurological activity, but the assumption that consciousness is produced by neurological activity is questionable. It is a fact that evolution, and this also goes to what the mind argument is. And if you're a dualist, you know about this. The mind and the body are two separate things. So when the mind is a product of the brain, okay, what about plants? They don't have brains. We do know they have a mind. And there's been tons of scientific articles proving that they don't have a brain. But that's for another day. Let's read this. It says it is a fact that evolution has taken place, but it's also questionable assumptions that evolution can explain wholly in terms of random mutations and natural selection. As illustrated by the contemporary third way in evolution movement, there's growing evidence against this assumption. As neo-Darwinists believe, in fact, as I show in my book, Spiritual Science, there's a dearth of evidence to support many of the assumptions of materialism and a good deal of evidence against them. So when we look at the evidence, and this is the same thing about trying to trap haplogroup E into Africa, there's actually a dearth of evidence, meaning a severe lack of, there's a paucity of evidence that haplogroup E had its inception in sub-Saharan Africa, and it was always in sub-Saharan Africa. There's no evidence at all for it. The ancient E samples that we find are outside of sub-Saharan Africa, right? But people will make that claim, E1B1A, E1B1B. They will make this claim that E1B1A should be locked in sub-Saharan Africa. That's an assumption, but the evidence, a lot of the evidence is pointing towards another direction. It's not even in Africa. Like we brought out in prior episodes, we found E1B1A in France, for crying out loud. We found it in Corsica, which is an island in the Mediterranean Sea. We found it there. We found it in Iran 10,000 years ago.
Certain mutations may have happened outside, in Africa, but the evidence points that it didn't originate there.
Exactly.
Facts.
Exactly.
And even hypothetically, let's just say E did originate within sub-Saharan Africa. Let's just hypothetically agree with our opponent's model. This wouldn't discount Proto-Afro-Asiatics and Proto-Semites coming from Africa, because you literally have scientists that say that, Proto-Semites could have came from the Horn of Africa, which is in sub-Saharan Africa, or they could have came from North Africa. So even if our opposition wants to try to twist things and say, he's just sub-Saharan African haplogroup. All right, cool. Well, guess what? Proto-Afro-Asiatics and Proto-Semites came from Africa too. So what now?
Yeah,
give us more credence.
Yeah, it literally doesn't change anything either way. But it's just funny because from empirical evidence, and you're absolutely right, Avery. But it's funny from an empirical evidence standpoint, they don't have any evidence. It's pretty much all their evidence is on paper. It's what someone wrote about it. It's their interpretation and their inference. That's it. And they will stream at you about it and sit up here and try to proclaim the gospel of haplogroup E or E1B1A rather being constricted to sub-Saharan Africa. Oh man. So it's the same thing here. It says there's a dearth of evidence to support many of the assumptions of materialism and a good deal of evidence against them. Leading on from this, another characteristic of dogmatic belief systems is a refusal to consider evidence which contradicts their assumptions. Is that what has anybody in this panel experienced this?
Yeah.
Many times. Yep.
All the time. Yep.
Hey, son, did you say all of the time?
All the time.
God is good when?
All the time and all the time. God is good.
Right, Rue. The good news, according to Garfield, yeah, that's their gospel, man. Their gospel.
Amen,
Their
preacher.
gospel is trapping haplogroup E in sub-Saharan Africa for eons. Oh man. So yeah, man, let's read that again, man. That leading on from this, another characteristic of dogmatic belief systems is a refusal to consider evidence which contradicts their assumption. It didn't say believe; it said to even consider. They won't even consider it. You understand? They won't even consider it. We sat over there on Berean's channel for a couple hours, pouring out fact upon fact upon fact and building strong arguments for our case. And they're like, nope, I'm not considering that. You guys are Hamites because I said you are.
They'll even consider a model where both Shem, Ham, and Japheth are all J markers. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I mean, we can do the same thing with E too, so.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't like it.
No, not at all. Not at all, because E is Hamites, So again, it says, leading on from this, another characteristic of dogmatic belief systems is a refusal to consider evidence which contradicts their assumptions. There was a good illustration of this in a recent article published by the American Psychologist Journal last year, 2018. The journal published an article by Professor Edsel Cardina of Lund University, in which he carefully and systematically reviewed the evidence for psi phenomena, examining over 750 discrete studies, and concluded that there was a very good case for their existence. As a commentary on the article from the British Psychological Society reported on this basis, it's arguable that as much as any other field of psychology, there is at least something meriting investigation. However, June of this year, the journal published an online rebuttal of Cardina's article by Arthur Reber and James Alcock. The authors take an unusual approach based on theory rather than evidence. Rather than engaging carefully with evidence presented by Cardina, they put forth a theoretical argument for the non-existence of psi. And excuse me if I'm not saying that PSI right. I think it's psi. As they write, claims made by parapsychologists cannot be true. Hence, data that suggests that they are necessarily flawed and result from a weak methodology or improper data analysis or type 1 errors. Their attitude appears to be that since psi is impossible, no amount or type of evidence. Oh, excuse me. Let me go back up. No amount. Where are we at? The attitude appears to be that since psi is impossible, no amount or type of evidence would be sufficient to support it. Therefore, it is unnecessary to deal with any specific pieces of evidence. We deal with the same thing. Oh, well, it's impossible that you guys can be Israelites, so I'm not going to consider any goddamn thing you bring forth. I don't care how great the information is, or how solid and concrete it is. We're showing you e-markers outside of Africa, for crying out loud, and the Natufian based Shemite population. We're showing you that they're going all the way from Syria down to the Levant, right? Or to the Negev, excuse me, the desert below the Levant, right? We show you all that. No, I don't even want to hear that, because in my mind, I've already made up. I have this religious belief system that you guys are Hamites, so it doesn't matter.
Literally read papers that say proto-Semites are e-markers. Like 5+ papers.
Right. Paper after paper after paper. Nope, don't matter. I have made up in my mind, in my religious belief system, that it is impossible. So therefore, anything you say is automatically negated. That's the attitude, man.
You could actually give them the links to these articles, to these studies, for them to do their own, research, for them to read it, and they still nope.
Hey, we showed them on Berean show that they don't know how to read this information, and we read it correctly. And I'm telling Berean, look, am I misinterpreting that? And he can't say anything. There's no misinterpretation. I'm reading it verbatim. You know?
Yeah, but he knows. Berean knows too, because he be getting on them too. He be like, "You mean to tell me everybody got a reading comprehension problem except for y'all, except for you?" he says, like, he says it sarcastically, and he peep it, he see it.
Right.
What does parsimonious mean?
Yeah. What did Kevin G tell us? Parsimony means stingy.
Did you?
No,
Hey,
no,
yo,
brother.
are you being parsimonious with the cornbread?
He also said the flood was in 600 BC, so I'm not sure if he can be trusted.
They say any damn
Yeah.
thing. I heard G Con say that the flood washed E1B away. What did he say? The flood washed E1B1A away. He washed it all away out of the land of Israel or something like
Dang, he's
that.
making us pre-Adamites then.
I didn't know what he was saying, but yeah, that
Somebody
is making.
made J Haplogroup ham.
Yeah, he did that too. Yeah, well, he be pulling, he be pulling, he be pulling this stuff right out his ass.
Yo,
He has a young Earth model, not a young Earth model. It's young Earth.
he got an infant Earth model. The Bronze Age happened in what? Who said the Bronze Age was 300 B? Who said that?
100%. I think it was it Kevin G? No, it was G Con. I think it was G Con.
It was one of them. They said the Bronze Age was 300 BC or something like that. I was like, oh my God.
That sounds like a G Con gaff.
And that's why creating models is important, various models, but and understanding history, because Israel, like what? The Assyrio Babylonian captivity was in 600 through 700 BC. So how does that work? I'm still
I told him that. I said, yo, you come up here when I went on Berean one night. They had me so pissed off. I jumped on there because Shari was there. She went and stuck her nose over there, so I went over there. And I told him, I said, yo, you don't even have a model. Like, you just pulling stuff out the air. Build a model and then work with that. You know what I'm saying? Bring the model and then we can work from there. Let's talk after you cover the model. You just pulling stuff out your ass.
Exactly. Exactly. They're basically saying, believe me. And you know what that is? That's preaching. You understand? They're not the only ones. Garfield them do it too. They preach. Because the word preach means to proclaim. You're just making a proclamation. You're not showing and proving. You know, what Avery and I did that night was, methodical. We sat up there and we put source after source after source after source after source after source and beat them over the head with it. And all they did was run their damn mouth. It was no evidence.
yeah. When it came to the cross-examination part of the debate, like we had nothing to cross to examine from their side, but a video from YouTube. And then I had a video that debunked that because the same dude, Dr. Nathaniel Jansen, literally said that he came from Arabia during the Mohammedan invasion and went into North Africa.
Right.
And then the J marker was Turkish. That's Jansen's model. I'm not saying that's mine, by the way, for those that are listening, but yeah.
Yeah, Jay. He don't even consider Jay as the Jewish marker at all.
Right.
You know,
He sees it as Turkic.
Ngozi had an article the other day. This is why I'm a little confused. But anyway, Ngozi had an article the other day stating that that he may have come out. One of the geneticists was saying that he may have came out of Green Arabia.
That he
Right.
was in Arabia.
I've seen
Yeah.
an article like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Green Arabia during while Arabia was still green.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's like two papers I can think of off the top of my
That's
head
why I
that
was
say that. Yeah.
confused because I'm like, the title was debunking Hebrew Israelites and DNA, and I'm like, well, so far most of the video that Garfield passed on to Sarnetta, it kind of strengthened our argument. So I don't understand. I guess that's why it was a hot potato for Garfield, because Garfield had it on his channel for one day. Right after the live, the following day it was pulled. Goes on Berean channel, says that he's it came up again, and he says, I got to do some editing, and before I put it back up.
You know why? He probably
And
had to
then
do editing.
he doesn't even put it back up on his channel. He passes it to Sarnetta, and Sarnetta edit.
Because I was watching some of it last night, and then the beginning part of the presentation, they call us and say that we don't know how to read and we don't know how to comprehend. I rewinded that thing at least twice to see
if I was hearing him correctly. They didn't even read verbatim and interpret what they were reading properly. It was a mess.
They're talking about Yap Gang doesn't know how to read, or just Black Hebrew Israelites in general.
Black, they lump us all together anyway. So just Black
Oh,
Hebrew
okay. Oh, yeah.
Israelites, Hebrew
So
Israelites.
basically, so basically, you were reading along with what they had on the screen while they were speaking, with
Yeah.
something everybody should be doing.
Yes. I'm like, that's not
Just waiting and
what
listening.
that says. I'm like, no, that's not.
Yeah, they have a reputation of doing that. And like I said, there's footage. It's on my channel too, but Orthodox Moore has it. There's footage of Garfield basically saying, "Oh, EM 180 is not even in existence in
Yes,
today's population." Did you
yeah.
see that? You see that, Sean? You saw that?
He was
You saw?
and Anonymous jumped on. Anonymous jumped on. He said, "Oh, so EM 180, it's not there. It doesn't exist no more." He
Yeah, they
pulled
said
up.
he was lying. They said he was lying that he had it. He
Why would
lying.
he think that that haplogroup wouldn't exist when we still have A markers to this day and B markers? They're even
I'm gonna
older.
tell you why.
But
I'm
hold
gonna
on,
tell
hold
you why.
on. I want to tell you what he did. So Anonymous pulls up his 23andMe and says, "What that say?" Yo, it shut them right the hell up. Yo, it shut them up. And then to me, I don't even remember. I think they said he apologized, but I don't remember him apologizing for that.
No, he don't do it. He probably didn't do it live. Probably did it off air. They never do shit like that live. They'll love to muddy your name on live, but won't do it. Won't undo that on live. But what the thing about it is, if Garfield would have set his ass down and read the stream, the 23andMe stream that was right in front of him, it says EM 180 is prevalent in African Americans. It said it right there. And I'm like, bro, this lets you know that you guys do not read, and when y'all do read, y'all have reading comprehension skills because you read at you read at a third grade level.
Nah, it's actually something you said a while ago on one of your lives. They don't read. They don't read to learn. They read to debunk. So
Yep.
they do a lot of skimming.
Yep. They will skim over some stuff. I remember I got into an argument with somebody. I ain't gonna say his name. I ain't gonna embarrass him because the dude cannot read. I sent him a photo, a screenshot. You know how I do? I screenshot a paragraph and send it to somebody. I ain't gonna argue with you all day. Here it is right here. And he said, I don't get it. I'm like, bro, it's highlighted. I said, read it again and then get back with me. I still don't get it. I'm like, how do you not get it? It's right. You know what? I'm not gonna tell you. You're gonna have to figure it out. I just left that conversation altogether. You know what I'm saying? Because the reason why I do them like that is because you trying to combat me and you don't even know what the hell you're talking about. You can't even read a simple paragraph and disseminate it. It was a paragraph, bro. A paragraph, not an article, not a book, not a chapter, a paragraph, Sean. And these are the type of people that's getting on the internet. Yeah, you guys are wrong. Man, I'm not taking you guys serious at all because y'all not going to take the time out to actually read and understand this and gain the damn skills to even read and understand. So why should I even take you seriously? You know? Let me get back
Be
to this
arguing
article.
all day.
Yeah, you be arguing with a fool all day. And like D Red said, when you argue with a fool, the person that's watching can't tell who the fool is. You know, so
Exactly. That's why they lives be 5, 6, 7, 8 hours long.
right. All right, let me finish this article, y'all. It said it is difficult to see the scientific logic of this approach. Surely a truly scientific approach would entail engaging with the evidence and examining it on its own terms, accepting the possibility that if the evidence is convincing, theories may have to be revised. The author's approach is clearly more similar to the kind of dogmatism that is usually associated with fundamentalist religion. It is akin to a judge declaring that since we have already decided that a person is guilty, there is no need to look at any further evidence. In more detail, Reber and Alcock argue that psi phenomena in general cannot exist because there is no causal mechanism to account for them, and because they contravene a number of the tenets of physics. However, the idea that psi contravenes the laws of science is very questionable. Specifically, Reber and Alcock argue that psi phenomena violates the laws of causality of linear time of thermodynamics and the inverse square law. However, many other scientists have put forward theories that would allow for the possibility of psi. And I'm using this and comparing it to what our arguments are as well. It's the same thing with us. They'll say, "Oh no, this is not possible because this scientist Trombetta said that a haplogroup E was African and blah blah blah." I don't know how that doesn't make it possible that Jacob C could have went through that. But anyway, that'll be the argument. Then we'll say, well, we have actual scientists like what's the brother name? I can't think of his name right now, but it's a Hispanic geneticist that argues that there's an Asian hypothesis for haplogroup E. And we got various scientists that believe that and consider that. You understand?
There's also an Asian person who says it too. I think they're Chinese or Japanese or something. They also
Dan
support it.
Shu. I think you're
Yeah.
talking about Dan Shu.
That up too. Yeah, and Gozi brought that up too. That's on the so-called debunking the Israelites and DNA.
Yeah, so you got Dan Shu, Vincent Cabrera is his name, and there's plenty of other scientists. He's just the lead scientist on that that bring forth that theory. So, science is not everybody does. It's not that everyone believes the same thing. They think that science is like a church. Oh, well, this is a Baptist church. Everybody in here believes in Baptist, ideology, or this is a Pentecostal church. Everybody believes. That's not what science is. The field of science, there's a multiplicity of different beliefs, different theories, and a lot of times those theories contradict one another. Like the multiverse theory, that contradicts the Big Bang singularity theory. So we can go on and on and on about that, but this is what these guys do. They were like, oh, well, I have this science. Yeah, but there's other scientists that say something completely different. It says, however, many other scientists have put forth theories that would allow for the possibility of psi. In fact, in modern physics, following on the Einstein's theories and the theories and findings of quantum physics, the concept of causality is much more complex than Reber and Alcock presume. Modern physics includes concepts such as retrocausation and transactional theory of quantum physics, which are compatible with precognition. Telepathy are compatible with the concept of entanglement. Although note that I am saying compatible with, as I wouldn't go as far as to say telepathy and precognition can be explained in these terms. The important point is that their existence is allowed for in terms of these concepts. Another issue with Reber and Alcock seem to assume that the laws of science as they exist now are immutable, which is surely not the case. To assume that our present understanding of the universe is complete is hubris. In fact, Reber and Alcock claim that psi phenomena cannot exist because they violate the inverse square law is undermined by recent research showing that the law doesn't apply to gravitational waves. There's a risk of appearing there is a risk of appearing as foolish as the Victorian physicist Albert Michelson, who declared in 1894 that most of the grand underlying principles have been firmly established. Future truths of physical science are to be looked for in the sixth place of decimals. A similar quote is sometimes attributed to his contemporary, the physicist Lord Kelvin. Of course, it was not long afterward that the revolutions of relativity and quantum mechanics completely revised our understanding of physics. All right, so this is the last segment, beyond belief. Belief systems form a distorting filter, though, through which their inheritants view the world. This is usually serendipitous in the sense that adherents don't usually even realize that they have adopted a belief system. And that's another thing with these guys. You tell them that, hey, man, you guys are doctrinaires. You guys are very religious in the way you think. Oh, no, I didn't adopt a belief system. Yeah, you believe in the outer Africa theory as a fact, even though it's a theory, which a theory, again, is an interpretation of facts. It's not a fact itself. And again, everybody listening and watching, I hope you leave with that. If you don't leave with nothing else, leave with that. You have a belief system. And when someone brings something to oppose it, you don't want to consider anything because you're stuck in your belief. That's your belief. So they interpret the world through the prism of their beliefs without being consciously aware of any filtering or distorting. This is particularly evident with psi phenomena. Materialists sometimes dismiss the possibility of psi by referring to the Occam's razor principle, that the simplest and least speculative explanation is usually the right one. But the question of what constitutes simple or speculative is determined by one's perspective through the lens of expectation and assumption. Materialism explanation only seems simple and economical if you have already decided that materialism is true. Many materialist explanations, such as altruism or near-death experiences, are tortuous and convoluted rather than simple and economical. With regard to psi, skeptics, including Reber and Alcock, in their recent articles, sometimes also refer to the argument that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. But again, psi phenomena only seems extraordinary through the lens of materialism. From a cultural point of view, psi is not extraordinary. Research has shown that most people believe that they have experienced psi phenomena at least once. Psi is also arguably less than extraordinary in relation to the bizarre and counterintuitive going-ons of the quantum world. And you know what's funny about this psi argument and spiritual science argument? These people, do you understand what materialists believe? They believe that the universe sprung up from nothing. Now, some of them believe in the multiverse, which that doesn't even make sense. It gets even more, the more these people are supposed to be so everything's natural, everything comes from nature, everything comes from material, but a lot of their beliefs is grounded in supernatural, because for nothing to become something, that's abracadabra. That's supernatural. That's magic. You know what I'm saying? For all life to come from a single cell organism, come on, man. That's what druids do. They change form. You know what I'm saying? That's some magical Harry Potter stuff.
You know, when you think about it, the Princess and the Frog story is true. If it just took millions of years for the frog to turn to a prince.
Yeah. Exactly. It's funny that these people have the issue with, you know, what they call, I guess, right here, psi, but they believe in monkeys becoming apes and hominids sharing a common ancestor and all that BS. They believe all mammalians came from a rodent-like ancestor. They'll believe that, and I tell people that, and I said this in prior shows, you'll believe that we all come from, we share our ancestor with chimpanzees, an ape-like ancestor, and that we all come from rodent-like ancestors, all mammalians, placental mammalians, according to a scientific theory, come from a rodent-like ancestor. And you'll believe that, but it's hard for you to believe that, you know, some African Americans descend from a man named Jacob that lived, you know, 3,000, 4,000 years ago. That's hard to believe, but you're quick to jump on a magical transformation where we start off as rodents and become hominids. That's more likely, huh? It's so funny, man. These people that have adopted this belief system. It says, in a similar way, materialists sometimes talk about the need to avoid magical thinking. And that's so funny because a lot what they say is magical. Animals transforming into other animals, that's magical. Birds to dinosaurs to birds, that's very magical. And matter of fact, that's mythical because you do have a lizard bird mythical beast known as the cockatrice. You know what I'm saying? You guys believe in magic.
Don't forget the blue Octarians, who are a ninth dimensional being civilization. Don't forget them. They're blue birds, big blue hominin type thing.
You might as well throw them in there if you're gonna believe that dinosaurs evolved into every bird, avian bird we see. And then they don't even choose the dinosaur. They don't choose because, you know, well, again, dinosaurs are animals that stand upright, are lizards or reptiles that stand upright. That's how they define it. So pterodactyl is not considered a dinosaur. But if I'm going to use something from the Triassic period and say they became birds, I'm going to say, oh, well, maybe the pterodactyls. Nope, not the pterodactyls, the theropods, the two-legged dinosaurs. They became birds. That's some magical shit.
Ho, 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 it's magic.
Yo,
Exactly.
you're a fool. You're a fool.
Man, I got choked on my food because of you.
And I showed this on the show before. The theory behind how flight was evolved in two-legged animals is because they jumped around for millions and millions of years until they developed flight. Meaning they developed all the anatomical changes, all of the molecular changes, all of the traits, air sacs, hollow bones, wings, feathers, simply by jumping around. That is the most magical shit I've read in my entire life.
Ho, 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 it's magic, you know. Never believe it's not so. It's magic, you know. Never believe it's not so.
You can't make this stuff up, man.
Dude, I got a story about some flying reindeer if you want to, use that.
I mean, yeah, why can't reindeers be scientific? Because reindeers should be able to develop flight. You know what I'm saying? By jumping around for millions of years. But I'm reading, we want to avoid magical thinking. What? Materialists, all y'all believe in is magical, man. They say the early Earth formed a prebiotic soup, and that was the pretty much the medium for life. And the first cells came out of that prebiotic soup where no oxygen was there. How do cells exist without oxygen, without the basic necessities for anything to thrive, for life to thrive? That's magical, man. That's everything they believe in is magical. Anyway, let's move on. It says, but again, the question of what constitutes magical thinking is determined by one's perspective. Outside the materialist belief system, it is surely magical to presume that the consciousness can emerge from physical stuff and that human beings' mental and psychological function is purely generated by neural activity. Strikingly, the philosopher Colin McGinn has suggested that the idea that the brain could generate consciousness is analogous to a water turning miraculously into wine. Exactly. They have magical beliefs. As the third way theorists point out, it is also arguably magical to believe that natural selection working on random mutations could approximate to a creative principle responsible for all of the complexity and variation of life on Earth. That is very magical, because how could something random construct something with order? That we don't see no example of that in life nowhere.
And then turn around and tell you that the Bible is magical stories, mythical stories.
They believe in half fish, half mammals. That's mythical. You know what I'm saying? Half reptile, half bird. Like that's mythical. Literally, that's myth. I can pull up mythical.
Chimera.
Thank you. Chimeras. The monkey man is an East Indian god. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all believe in this shit. And put the scientific standpoint.
Yeah, and then turn right around and look at us in the face and tell us that the Bible is all magical stories.
I'll tell them ditto. You believe in magic, I believe in magic, damn it, because all this stuff you telling me the universe come from nothing, that's abracadabra. That's, you know what I'm saying? That's magic. Stop it. All life coming from a single cell organism is magic. That's some magic stuff.
In the vacuum of emptiness, an explosion occurs. Doesn't explosions destroy things, not create things?
How can it be a vacuum? Nothing exists. It's not even a vacuum. There's nothing. Like, think about that. Try to conceptualize nothing. It's as hard as hell, ain't it?
Comment.
What you say, sis? What you say? What you say, sis?
You gotta pull up.
You muffled.
Yeah, you're in the matrix.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
You gotta pull up Sister Nikki Lane comment.
She says magic is trying to deny our God while trying to overcome his work, all the while using his products to do it. Get the fuck out. Yeah. Bruce Smith, he said nothing happens in a vacuum. Well, there's no vacuum. That's what I'm saying. There's nothing happens in a vacuum. I agree, but there's no vacuum because a vacuum don't even exist. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
You guys, all you guys sound like you read.
But then they try to say, oh, well, actually there was dust and then, it combined and created the explosion. I'm like, okay, so where does the dust come from?
Yeah.
It was just there. Oh, okay, cool. Cool
Yeah.
story, bro.
Man. Let me let me finish this, man. Says the story of Galileo. There's an important parallel with the story of Galileo, who invented his contemporaries to look through his telescope. The Aristotelians and church dignitaries refused to do so, as they had already decided that they knew the truth and didn't want their worldview to be undermined. This is the case with dogmatic materialists who have decided what they believe and refuse to consider or dismiss out of hand any evidence that contradicts their beliefs. True science means accepting that human knowledge is limited and present theories are provisional and incomplete. True science means being willing to examine evidence on its own terms outside the prism of the belief system of materialism. In other words, it means having the courage to look through the telescope. And that's the end of that article. I got one more article that I'm gonna go through my PowerPoint and then end it because I really tonight I really gotta pack some things up and get ready to do what I gotta do. So I'm not gonna hold y'all too long tonight. So we're gonna move on to the next article. You know what I'm saying? I think we looked through the telescope on the haplogroup E thing. Like y'all told us that we were stuck in sub-Saharan Africa for eons, but I found evidence that we wasn't even, you know what I'm saying? France, Iran, and the Middle East. Like, come on, man, stop playing.
They didn't think we was going to take it this far once they brung it up. Once they start challenging us on DNA, they didn't think we was going to go this far. They didn't think we was going to dig this deep. They really did.
Now they want us to go back to the scriptures and talk about Deuteronomy 28 and all that. I'm like, oh, okay.
You know what's funny?
Now
Son,
DNA
you've been
science is not.
son, you know what's funny about that? You've been in this thing longer than me. Remember what they were saying? Oh, you in the Bible all the time. You got to get out the Bible. You always in that Bible. Like, why? Y'all can never go outside the Bible.
100%.
You remember they were saying that?
100%. And then as we evolved, like the term they like to use, as we evolved and got smarter, and more brothers who had and sisters who had real analytical skills started digging into things and started getting real complicated for them. Hey, man.
Now it's just stay in the Bible. Now it's just go back to the Bible. Just stay in the Bible.
Yeah, DNA is not it's not a hard enough science. It's it's theoretical. It's this, it's that. Put that down. Don't bother with that anymore.
Yeah. All right, this is the third and final article. Then I will go to my presentation. I won't take too long in my PowerPoint. I brought this out before. I'm just going to reiterate some things. Science does not reveal truth by Paul M. Sutter. What is truth? It is a pretty popular question, apparently going back several thousand years. And over the centuries and millennia, many people have tried to seek out the truth or reveal it or grapple with the truth or wrestle with it, or at the very least come to terms with it. And while science is a powerful force in understanding the way the world works, it is not truth. People don't understand that. That part right there is big because people think science itself is truth. Again, science is a conceptual tool. It doesn't have any presuppositions. It doesn't have its own church or its own, religion or anything like that. It doesn't. It's a tool that we use to understand the world around us. Itself is not the truth, right? Science itself is not truth. To draw distinction, there are facts. There are things we observe about the world around us. We observe the shifting of light from distant galaxies. We observe the mutations over generations in DNA. We can see chemicals combine and interact. But science itself isn't just a collection of facts about the natural world. That's only part of the story. The bigger part of the story is what we do with those facts. And what we do is try to interpret them and understand them. Again, going back to what these people do, you guys will take a scientist's interpretation and assumption and think it's fact. That's not fact. That's their opinion, their interpretation, how they observe it and how they view it. That's what it is. You try to browbeat people with it, like, oh, well, the scientist said 200,000 years ago this happened and this is how long it takes. No, that's a theory. That's an interpretation. What is a theory? An interpretation of facts. And it's based off of what? A hypothesis is an unproven statement. I hope y'all was taking notes. You know what I'm saying? And fold them into larger picture that we can use to make predictions about the behavior of those same systems in the natural world. All our models and theories are representations and approximations of reality as we see it. That is not truth. Again, all our models and theories are representations and approximations of reality as we see it. That is not truth. The biggest giveaway is that scientific theories change with time. As we acquire new information, new data, we have to update all of our beliefs. You know, Uncle told me, oh, scientists don't deal with beliefs. I was going to tear his ass up. That was going to be our debate topic. I was going to tear him up on that. But he never accepted it. You know, this was all off air. You know, I couldn't get him to bite because he knew he was going to get washed. So how can a belief be true if it's subject to change at the moment's notice? Science represents reality, and we try to be as faithful and accurate as possible so we can get an ever deeper and ever more fundamental understanding of the way the world works. I'm not the one to tell you what truth is, and neither are scientists, at least when it comes to speaking about science. We know that we know what we know about the universe through observation, and those observations are flawed and subject to bias and interpretation. Bias and interpretation and experimental uncertainty. And yes, some observations can be flat out wrong and will later be corrected or updated in the future. Science doesn't deal in truth. Science deals in science. And I wanted that to be the last article that we read tonight before I go into my PowerPoint. I just want you guys to know that, echo that sentiment, because a lot of people have a distorted understanding on what science is. They think it's a revealer of truth, and it's not. Or they think science itself is truth. It's not. Again, science is not a proposition. You know what I'm saying? Saying that you're into science is not the same thing as saying that you're into Islam. That's how y'all treating it. But that's why I wanted to bring out the article, bringing it what scientism is and how you guys treat it as a religious belief system. And you hold on to the assumptions of scientists and try to browbeat people with it as if it's fact, and it's not. Now, from there, I'm bringing the PowerPoint, sister. I'm bringing the PowerPoint. It's a PowerPoint I've already used on the channel. I just want to bring it back out because I think it's apropos to do so. So we're going to do that. The PowerPoint. Let me get it on the screen. Real quick. Some of the articles, tidbits of the articles will be in there as well. But it's about divergence dating because this keeps coming back up. You know, it's like that. It's like a cockroach. You swash it, and when it's an infestation, you keep seeing the damn cockroach. That's what's going on with this argument about divergence dating. So I taught you guys about this before, but to reinforce and reiterate, we're going to bring it back up tonight to show you guys. I just need Google Chrome to recognize that it's open. All right, there we go. Here's a PowerPoint. I won't be long, I promise y'all. Understanding DNA. Let's go to view. Normal reading view. All right. Understanding DNA, divergence, dating, and its implications. Parsimony. So first I'm going to explain parsimony and what that is. No, it does not. When we're dealing with scientific papers and biological papers, when we're dealing with that realm, parsimony, actually, the parsimony principle is the basics to all science and tells us to choose the simplest scientific explanation that fits the evidence. Excuse me. So that's what parsimony means. Does not mean stingy. like Kevin G tried to tell us. In terms of tree building, that means that all other things being equal, the best hypothesis is the one that requires the fewest evolutionary changes. It's all based on hypothesis. The source is Statistical Methods in Molecular Evolution, Remus Nelson, page number 229. Very expensive book. I don't advise you to buy this book unless you're serious about learning about all the inner working facets of DNA. It says, during most of the period following Zuckerkern and Pauling's seminal papers, divergent time estimation from molecular sequence data has centered on the hypothesis of a constant chronological rate of sequence change. What is a hypothesis? A hypothesis is a statement that has not been proven. That's what a hypothesis is, right? So when people try to say, oh, well, this says 100,000 years ago, this arose and that arose, the haplogroup F arose, bro, yes, that's their assumption based on this estimation that's based off a hypothesis, which a hypothesis is an unproven statement. But again, that's your belief. So you're going to try to, enforce your belief. LiveScience.com. What is science? What is a scientific hypothesis? Definition of a hypothesis. Hypothesis basics. A hypothesis is a suggested solution for an unexplained occurrence that does not fit into current accepted scientific theory. The basic idea of a hypothesis is that there is no predetermined outcome. For a hypothesis to be termed a scientific hypothesis, it has to be something that can be supported or refuted through carefully crafted experimentation or observation. This is called falsifiability and testability, an idea that was advanced in the mid-20th century by a British philosopher named Karl Popper, according to the Encyclopedia Britannica. A key function in this step in scientific method is deriving predictions from the hypothesis about the results of future experiments and then performing those experiments to see whether they support the prediction. A hypothesis is usually written in the form of an if/then statement, according to the University of California. The statement gives a possibility if and explains what may happen because of the possibility then. The statement could also include may. So again, what is a hypothesis? An unproven statement. That's why you have to frame it, and this is what Sister Shar was telling y'all earlier, as a question. It's not declarative. It's not definitive. It says a scientific hypothesis is the initial building block in the scientific method. Many describe it as an educated guess based on prior knowledge and observation. While this is true, the definition can be expanded. A hypothesis also includes an explanation of why the guess may be correct, according to the National Science Teachers Association. That's what is a scientific hypothesis, definition of hypothesis by Alina Bradford, July 26, 2017, from livescience.com. That's where you can find that. So, again, I'm bringing this out because haplogroup estimations are something that people bring to the table from the other side of the aisle and try to say, oh, this happened 20,000, 40,000 years ago, as if they know for a fact that it happened 40,000 years ago. No, you do not know. It is it's based off an educated guess, based off a statement that's not been proven. It's based on a hypothesis known as the molecular clock hypothesis. We're going to get into it. Psychology today. We read this today, what scientism is, when science becomes a religion. An alternative term for this belief system is scientism, since it is a paradigm that has been derived from some findings of modern science. As a psychologist, Emmett Baruch has described it, science is an open-ended exploration of reality based on logical thinking about empirical observations. Scientism is the adherence to a materialist version of reality that combines investigation of those sort of things that are permitted by materialism. Like we brought out a few examples earlier, saying that out of Africa theory is absolutely 100% true. That we all come from apes, that's absolutely 100% true. That we all come from single cell organisms, that's all materialism. That everything we see can be explained through material means, and there's no other outside external forces that are at play here. This is one of the characteristics of dogmatic belief systems, is that their adherents accept assumptions as proven facts, and that's what happens when people crack open a scientific article or something. They automatically assume it's fact, no matter what's being said there. They automatically assume it. Like they automatically assume that haplogroup E1B when they derive in sub-Saharan Africa. That's an assumption, not a fact. There's no empirical data that points to that. So this is certainly true of scientism. For example, it is a fact that consciousness exists and that is associated with neurological activity, but the assumption that consciousness is produced by neurological activity is questionable. Ancient DNA provides a more sure dating mechanism. And this is from Ethno-Linguistic Prehistory, The Peopling of the World from the Perspective of Language, Genes, and Material Culture by George von Drine, page number 36. Sometimes, however, the time depths being revealed for the spread of certain haplogroups by means of ancient DNA, which provides sure dating than calculated correlation times. What's the calculated correlations time? So if you look up the origin of haplogroup E, it'll give you a calculated correlation time. It'll give you like, 70,000 years ago for DE or whatnot. And then it split 60,000 years ago, then 40,000 years ago, E1B1A, E1B1B. These are correlation times. Again, a more sure dating method is actually finding the skeletal remains with that DNA. That's a more sure dating method because it's not based off as many assumptions as just looking at a calculated correlation time. It's just a number on a paper. It's not definitive. Sometimes lie well outside of the comfort zone of historical linguists. Of course, correlation times are based on a number of assumptions. What did we just say about what scientism is? Scientism is one of the characteristics of a dogmatic belief system is that their adherents accept assumptions as proven facts. Correlation times, divergence times, when haplogroups arose, these are assumptions. But these people, like what's the brother name? Ngozi, and I forget his cousin name, Fortune something. They will sit up here and try to browbeat you with this as if it's fact. No, it's not. It's an assumption. This is why reading is fundamental, man. Read a damn book, which sometimes necessarily undergo modification as our understanding grows. Moreover, the dating of divergence of genetic sequences may not be simply equated with the date of divergence of populations, since healthy populations of any size harbor a certain degree of genomic diversity. The same rules do not apply to dogs. This is from the book The Domestication of Humans by Robert G. Bednarik, page number 59. It is interesting to note that the genetic clock archaeologists so ardently subscribe to is rejected by them when it's applied to the dog. Applying its split from the wolf occurred 135,000 years ago. So they don't even consider the genetic clock when it comes to dogs because they go, wait a minute, dogs came from wolves 135,000 years ago? That doesn't fit with our data. It says in the second case, they disallow it because there's no paleontological evidence for dogs before about 15,000 years ago. For example, Neparla in Europe, man, 2010. However, in this, they seem to be mistaken. And they have a paper here that was written in 2009 in reference. It said this raises the question of why the same restraint and relying on genetic indices has not been exercised with hominins. If you're going to have the restraint of always relying on the genetic clock or genetic clock, molecular clock hypothesis on dogs, you're not going to rely on it with dogs because you feel as if it's not adequate. Why do you feel the need to say that it's adequate with hominids or humans? Aristotle and dictum. If it's false here, it's got to be false all around the board. It says, and why an implausible catastrophist scenario has been so eagerly embraced concerning the human species. Next source, it's all inferred. And this is from Molecular Photo Fitting, Predicting Ancestry and Phenotypes Using DNA by Tony N. Fruticus, page number 208. The data of divergence between populations can be calculated from randomly chosen markers in the human genome using these genetic distances based on the neutral theory of human evolution and the molecular clock hypothesis. What is a hypothesis again? A hypothesis is a statement that's been unproven. It's unproven. It's not a fact. Rooted phylogenetic trees provide a chronological basis for divergence inferred from measures of molecular distance. It's inferred. This is an assumption. But again, these guys that are dogmatic and religious and appeal to scientism, they take assumption as fact. This is why we properly define what a theory was, what a hypothesis is, how to utilize these terms in today's show. Exaggeration of time. These assumptions and resultant calculations are based typically on population mutation rates, which commonly, I hope you guys are listening to this part right here, which commonly exaggerate the chronological estimates of migrations and events by 200 to 400%, since they are based on crude, artificial, and unrealistically naive and generalized reasoning. That's a huge markup, 200 to 400%. And the source for this is Ancient History of the Arbans, bearers of the R1b from Central Asia to Europe, 16,000 to 1,500 years before present, Anatole Klyasov, and you can find it in the Academy of DNA Genealogy, Newton, USA. Here's another article, 200 to 300% greater than genealogical mutation rates. It says Zybowski evolutionary mutation rate of 0.0069 mutations per marker per generation was empirically derived from 3 different populations and 3 different kinds of haplotypes using a number of questionable assumptions. And it was recommended for use not in genealogical or pedigree-based studies, but in population studies. Criteria for determining when a series of haplotypes represent a population and when it represents a genealogical situation were not provided. As a result, this mutation rate has been widely used in academic literature quite indiscriminately, often or always resulting in time spans to common ancestors some 200 to 300% greater compared to those obtained with genealogical mutation rates. That's a disparity. That's a large disparity. 200 to 300% greater. That's why you get these astronomical numbers. And again, these are all assumptions. Now, I'm not saying that they're automatically false. I'm just telling you what they are. Assumptions, a hypothesis, an assumption that has not been proven. That's why it's called the molecular clock hypothesis. The MRCA sample, most recent example, common ancestor example. This is from the Evolutionary Genetics Concepts and Case Studies by Charles W. Fox and Jason B. Wolf, page number 172, 173. And I just read the highlighted proportion for you. It says the most recent common ancestor in terms of pedigree of all living humans might have been surprisingly more recent, perhaps only 2,000, 7,000 years ago. That's the most recent common ancestor in terms of pedigree of all living humans. Could have lived 2,000, 7,000 years ago. Is that saying that that's the case? No, it's just saying that's a possibility. It's plausible. That's how science works. It's open-ended. There is no presupposition there. It's a tool. And we're just showing that what they're giving you is what they've seen in their studies, that this could be the case. Population mutation rates. All of this makes the population mutation rates even less meaningful than those just neglecting reverse mutations. In other words, results of calculations of time spans to common ancestors using population mutation rates applied to a mass of haplotypes without sorting them out into branches can be substituted with qualitative and in-kind expression. It was a long time ago. That's all we really can say definitively. It was a long time ago. We don't know how long it was because, again, these mutation rates are even less meaningful according to this source because of the randomness of a mutation itself. A mutation happens at random. The source of DNA genealogy, mutation rates, and some historical evidence written in the Y chromosome, Basic Principles and Methods by Klyasov, European Genetics Journal, 2009. Not known with certainty. It is reasonable to postulate that modern humans had sufficient time to become differentiated at multiple levels. This differentiation is inferable from many databases, although mutation rates are not known with certainty and confidence intervals are large. Mutation rates are not known with certainty. Why? Because mutations happen at random. It's a random variable. You can't know a random variable. And that's Mutazer Ibrahim. You know, I quote from his works a lot. Just Genetics of African Populations, page 26 to 27. Mutation rates are confounded. When solely DNA or protein sequence data are available, amounts of evolution can be estimated, but rates and times are confounded. Rates and times are confounded. This confounding is problematic whether or not the molecular clock hypothesis is correct. It's confounded. Meaning you can't just rely on that number and say that's empirical facts. What you're doing is using an assumption and claiming that it's a fact. That's religious dogmatic thinking. This is from the Statistical Methods in Molecular Evolution by Rasmus Nielsen, page number 236. I didn't write this book. Rasmus Nielsen did, which is an actual geneticist. Why is it problematic? In the absence of fossil or other information external to the sequence data, the rates and times cannot be separated, and only their product, the expected amount of evolution, can be estimated. Although infinitely long sequences could conceivably lead to the perfect estimate of the expected amount of evolution per site, the confounding of rates and time means that even in the ideal situation of infinitely long sequences, neither rates nor times can be estimated solely from molecular data. Neither rates nor times can be estimated solely from the molecular data. Neither rates nor times can be even in the ideal situation. Neither rates nor times can be estimated solely from molecular data. That's Rasmus Nielsen, page number 236. It's clear. So those dates are estimations based off assumption. It's not proven fact. Fossil records are used. The fossil records usefulness. A good fossil record can help differentiate between the shared rate scenario and molecular clock hypothesis, but often it can be challenging to compare these two possibilities when all sequences in a data set are isolated at effectively the same time. So you still have issues with that. But even when we look at the fossil record, like I said, the oldest haplogroup E1B1A markers are found outside of sub-Saharan Africa. That's a problem, because you guys said it originated in sub-Saharan Africa and stayed there for eons. It can only be inferred. With only occasional exceptions, the process of evolution is not amenable to direct observation. Therefore, the changes that have transformed DNA sequences over time can only, you see that word only there? Only be inferred. This is just an inference. You can only infer these things. But y'all speaking absolutes. Divergent dating is uncertain. Same book, page number 249, says given only a trajectory of rates over time, the expected number of changes can be determined. But the actual number is a random variable. This randomness increases the uncertainty of divergence dating. So when you see someone say, oh, haplogroup DE 70,000 years ago, that's a fact. No, it's not. It's based off a random variable. It's based off a hypothesis, molecular clock hypothesis. A hypothesis is a statement that has not been proven. And it's random. That's why it's uncertain. These are estimates at best. That's it. It's not concrete dating. Again, Yashub didn't write this. Rasmus Nielsen wrote it. And that page is 249. Fossils cannot be used to accurately calibrate the molecular clock. Conventionally, fossil information has been incorporated into molecular clock analysis in the form of calibration points. Adoption of calibration points implies that fossil evidence can precisely pinpoint the time of an internal node. Unfortunately, fossil data are not usually so directly informative. Geological dating of fossils has associated uncertainty. So even the dating of fossils, there's an uncertainty there. So either way you go, run with it. You can't. There is no definitive dating here. This is all just assumption. Moreover, the probability is almost zero that a particular fossil is a remnant. What's that? Oh, thank you. Moreover, the probability is almost zero that a particular fossil is a remnant of the exact organism that harbored the ancestral gene corresponding to the specific node on a phylogeny. Parsimony method. Oh, that was it. We're finished. That's it. So I gave y'all a quick PowerPoint on that. I hope you guys were able to soak that in. I had to go through that a little fast, but if y'all don't if y'all leave this video with understanding what a hypothesis is. A hypothesis is a statement that has not been proven. A theory is pretty much an interpretation of facts. The theory itself is not a fact. And when someone tells you about divergence dating is based off an assumption, off a random variable. That's it. It is not like saying, oh, the Revolutionary War happened in 1876. That's not how it works. Y'all got any commentary before we bounce out of here? Anybody want to add
No, you
anything?
summed everything up. Everything was summed up pretty well right there.
All right.
Yeah, that was a very great presentation. You did, you brought out all the key things. Much needed. Much needed.
Yeah, fam. I just want everybody to know that we use this as a tool to get us closer to the truth. Everybody in the, the family and the audience, and even our ops that might be listening. We just use this as a tool. This DNA. We was challenged on it some years ago. They didn't think we'd take it this far. We're going by the evidence. Your evidence is pointing a certain way, and so we're following that evidence, and we're pointing that out to you. Those things out to you. Which way the evidence is pointing when it concerns who's Israel, who is Shem, who's Japheth, who's Ham. So, postulation, but the evidence is pointing in this particular direction. So, we just want everybody to understand that. Are you?
Man, look, man, all you guys that's watching, man, like I said, know what a hypothesis is, know what a theory is. The people from the other side of the aisle, and Gozi and Fortune, whatever your name is, if you talking about assumptions and that's your way of fighting or arguing, you're wrong, because assumptions are not facts. Trying to stick people as if it's concrete and it's definitive. And yeah, I know that it happens. No, you don't. Anyway, I hope you guys gained something from this and learned something and was able to, grow in your understanding today and what was provided in the articles and the presentation. Like I said, I don't recommend that y'all can buy them books, but them books are expensive. Just go off, what I brought today. But if you're serious, then you can go and buy those books. I don't recommend it. With that, we're going to close out, man. Stay in school. Stay in school. New Hope Family says our hypothesis will stand the test of time because we employ the scientific method. The odds will fail because they fail to utilize the proper method. They don't even use the proper methods. They don't utilize the methods at all. They don't even understand the methods. They don't even read the material. They skim. It's evident. We proved over and over again. You guys skim the information. Y'all don't sit down and actually read the chapter upon chapter and try to get the understanding. Y'all don't care. Sean brought it up. You guys do not read to learn. You read to debunk. We read to learn and understand. It's a big difference. It's a big difference. And that's why you guys will not leave your comfort zone and come over here and debate mono y mono. You won't do that. You got to be in a setting with 8 people there that's heckling and you're trying to red herring you to death and not even stick on the topic because you're cowards. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, I'm willing to debate anybody. I'm willing to debate anybody. With you, me, and your shoe, I can go against anyone. Like, let's do it.
Right.
And with the rest of Yap Gang. But like I said, we're going to do mono and mono, 2 against 2, let's bring it on,
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. What y'all scared of? What y'all scared of? I've already extended the invitation to Fortune 99. I don't know how his name, 1991, is that what it is? That he
93?
Fortune 93. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm older than you, man. But anyway, I've already gave that invitation to him to come over here. He don't want to come over here. So, I done been over there at your boss's playground. And I already went up there and punched your boss in the mouth. Everybody saw it. I beat the shit out of Garfield. Come over here. We're not doing no more away games. We just left Bereans. We're not doing any away games. Y'all gonna have to come over here. It's that serious.
Facts. Because we've been going to y'all's platforms. Time for y'all to come to ours.
Right. Anything else before we close?
And if you don't know how to research, hit up my channel because I just did a whole series on research basics. So and we're in the middle of DNA basics.
Yeah. So I'm gonna actually link her channel with my channel. So if you guys want to learn more, you know what I'm saying? She's been very active lately, more active than me. I've been very busy. When I get stationary again, I will be pumping out the information again, like you guys are accustomed to. But in the meantime, go check my sister Shari channel out. I will be linking, like I linked Avery's channel to my channel. You guys subscribe. She's dropping gems. She's dropping jewels. If y'all want to learn the basics of DNA, inner working facets of DNA, you need to subscribe to her channel. Matter of fact, can you share your? Let me pull your channel up right now. Sorry.
While you're doing that, that's for the ops too. You know what I'm saying? Don't be embarrassed. Don't be embarrassed to sit in Illuminate Shari's classes. All right, it's all right. All right. DNA 101, 102, 103. It's all right. Learn something.
I told y'all the dean don't hardly teach now, but when we got to come out the office.
Hebrew Israelites reading and using DNA.
Yeah.
This is the Twilight Zone. It's got to be the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, Sister Nikki said I love Avery, so I'm sure he's amazing too. Yeah, go subscribe to this channel as well. The Hebrew of Israel is actually linked to my channel already. So if you click to my channel, you will see his channel being associated with Genesis 49. So you can click that link and subscribe.
New episodes every Friday, Saturday, and sometimes on Sundays. New episodes.
Now that's work.
Yeah, and his channel, Sister Shari channel, they give you information. Look what compared to what they're providing and what they're providing. Wendy Williams drama shows, right? Tyler Perry, Medea shows. They're giving you actual source material and methodology. It's a huge difference.
You can go watch. They got Beavis and Butthead over there too. You can go watch that.
Right, Beavis and Butthead, I Am Weasel, and IR Baboon. That's who y'all watching over there, man. But this is the sister's channel here. Let me see if I can get the channel link. Let me see.
Go to About page. It might be on the About page. Oh, mine. You see the tabs? About. It might be there, but it might not. I could just grab it for you.
Yeah, stick that in the yeah. So everybody can have it. You know what I'm saying? Go subscribe to their channel. She has DNA Basics 101 and 102. What is a cell? What is DNA? Research basics. So you guys really want to comb through her information so you guys can, get that under your belt, man. So, like I said, I will link her channel with my channel so you guys can just click on Genesis 49ers. You will see Sister Shari's channel along with the Hebrew of Israel's channel. And go subscribe, and they will be feeding you your daily bread.
Ain't no milk over here, baby. It's steak. Ribeyes. Filet mignon.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And some gefilte fish. Or gefilte fish.
Yeah. Side order gefilte fish. Some magen david. I think this is it. Let me see if that link. I think that's your channel. Let me click it. But if y'all type in Shari Anaya in YouTube, it will pop up. It will pop up, man. My last message before we get out of here. Stay in school, man. Or take your black ass to school and read a damn book.
That's nice. I love school. Oh, try to be going to school?
Yes.
Do you want to be the best you can be?
Yes.
Do you believe that someday your education will be the key to your life?
Yes.
Tell me what you want to be.
A doctor.
What else you think you can
A star.
be? Really?
Yes.
Do you know if you stay in school, I believe you can do those things too. Do you?
Yes.
All right, we out of here, man. 7 candlesticks up. I've been telling y'all, it ain't a debate. It's a stick up gang.
Yeah.